5 ways to handle people who don't respect you. Have you ever noticed that the more you try to earn some people's respect, the less they seem to give it to you? Maybe it's a friend who constantly talks over you, a coworker who dismisses your ideas, a family member who treats your opinions like they don't matter. Or maybe it's someone who only values you when they need something from you. What's strange is that many people respond to disrespect in ways that actually make the problem worse. They explain themselves more. They try harder. They become overly nice. They hope that if they're patient enough, respectful enough, or helpful enough, the other person will finally appreciate them. But psychology suggests something surprising. The people who receive the most respect are often not the people who demand it. They're the people who understand how human behavior works. And that's exactly what we're talking about today. By the end of this video, you'll discover 5 powerful psychological strategies for handling people who don't respect you. You'll learn why some people constantly test your boundaries, why arguing rarely changes their behavior, and why one simple shift in your mindset can completely change the way others treat you. One of these insights completely changes how most people think about respect, and once you understand it, you'll start seeing disrespect in a very different way. Before we begin, I want to know something. Have you ever felt disrespected by someone you cared about? Comment yes if you have. And if you're fascinated by psychology, human behavior, and understanding what people are really thinking beneath the surface, make sure you like this video, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you never miss an upload from behind the mask. Now let's uncover the first psychological truth. Point 1. Stop chasing respect. Imagine someone repeatedly ignores your opinions. Every time they dismiss you, you try even harder to prove your value. You explain yourself more. You work harder. You become more accommodating. Yet somehow, nothing changes. In fact, they seem to respect you even less. Why? Because human psychology often values what appears valuable rather than what constantly seeks validation. It can unintentionally signal insecurity. The brain constantly looks for social cues, and one of those cues is simple. If this person doesn't seem convinced of their own value, why should I be? Many people believe respect comes from convincing others to respect them. But respect usually begins when you stop seeking permission to value yourself. This doesn't mean becoming arrogant. It means refusing to make your self-worth dependent on someone else's approval. The next time someone dismisses you, notice your urge to prove yourself. Sometimes the strongest response is not proving your value at all. But this raises an important question. Why do some people keep pushing boundaries in the first place? That leads directly to the second insight. Point 2. Understand the psychology of boundary testing. Think about a child who keeps asking for one more cookie, not because they're hungry, but because they're testing where the limit is. Adults often do something very similar. Someone interrupts you, you allow it. They interrupt again, you tolerate it. Soon they've learned something powerful. Your boundaries are flexible. Psychologists have long observed that human beings naturally test social limits, not always consciously, not always maliciously, but consistently. People learn how to treat you by observing what you tolerate. One of the biggest misconceptions about respect is that it's purely about what other people think. In reality, respect is often shaped by what behavior you allow. If someone repeatedly crosses a line without consequences, they may begin to assume the line doesn't exist. That's why clear boundaries matter. Not angry boundaries, not aggressive boundaries. Clear boundaries. Simple statements like, "I'm not comfortable with that. Please don't speak to me that way. Let's continue this conversation when we're both respectful." These responses communicate something important. You value yourself enough to protect your space. And surprisingly, many people respect that far more than endless patience. But what happens when boundaries alone aren't enough? The answer reveals one of the most misunderstood aspects of human behavior. Point 3. Don't reward disrespect with attention. Imagine 2 people. One constantly creates drama. The other stays calm and collected. Who gets more attention? Unfortunately, in many situations, it's the dramatic person. And that's exactly why the behavior continues. Psychology teaches us that behavior often grows when it's rewarded. Attention is one of the strongest rewards humans can receive. Even negative attention can reinforce behavior. Someone makes a disrespectful comment. You spend hours arguing. You defend yourself. You become emotionally invested. From a psychological perspective, they just received exactly what they wanted. Your energy. Many people assume they must respond to every insult, every criticism, every rude remark. But not every battle deserves your attention. Sometimes silence communicates more power than 100 explanations. This doesn't mean becoming passive. It means becoming selective. Ask yourself, is this conversation actually productive? Or am I feeding a behavior that thrives on reaction? And what researchers discovered about emotional control makes this even more fascinating. Studies on emotional regulation have repeatedly found something surprising. The people who maintain the greatest influence during conflict are often not the loudest voices in the room. They're the people who stay emotionally grounded. Why? Because emotions are contagious. When someone tries to provoke you, they're often expecting a predictable reaction: anger, defensiveness, frustration. But when that reaction never arrives, the entire interaction changes. It's like removing fuel from a fire. And this leads us to perhaps the most powerful strategy of all. Point 4. Master emotional detachment. Imagine someone criticizes you unfairly. Immediately, your mind starts racing. You replay their words. You analyze every detail. You wonder why they said it. Hours later, they're living their life, and you're still carrying their comment. This is where emotional detachment becomes powerful. Detachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop giving other people control over your emotional state. Many people believe disrespect hurts because of the words themselves. But often the pain comes from the meaning we attach to those words. A disrespectful comment can feel like evidence that you're not good enough, not important enough, not worthy enough. But what if their behavior says more about them than it does about you? Psychology suggests that many disrespectful people are acting from their own insecurities, frustrations, fears, or need for control. Understanding this doesn't excuse their behavior, but it changes how deeply it affects you. When you stop taking every insult personally, you become much harder to manipulate. And that's where the final insight comes in. Because sometimes the strongest response isn't changing the relationship. It's changing your proximity to it. Point 5. Be willing to walk away. Imagine trying to convince someone to respect you for years. Nothing changes? The same behavior, the same patterns, the same disappointment. At some point, an uncomfortable truth appears. Not everyone deserves unlimited access to you. This may be one of the hardest lessons in human psychology. Many people stay in disrespectful relationships because they're focused on potential, who the person could become, who they used to be, who they promised to be. But healthy relationships are built on consistent behavior, not future possibilities. Walking away doesn't always mean ending a relationship. Sometimes it means reducing access, creating distance, protecting your peace, choosing environments where mutual respect already exists. And here's what's fascinating. The moment you're genuinely willing to walk away, you often stop appearing desperate for approval. And that alone can dramatically change the dynamic. But when we connect all 5 of these principles together, an even bigger truth emerges. When you look at everything we've discussed today, a pattern becomes clear. Respect isn't something you force, it's something you reinforce. Every time you stop chasing validation, you reinforce self-worth. Every time you establish boundaries, you reinforce self-respect. Every time you refuse to reward disrespect with attention, you reinforce emotional strength. Every time you detach from unnecessary negativity, you reinforce inner peace. And every time you choose healthy distance when necessary, you reinforce your value. The truth is that many people spend years trying to control how others treat them. But real power comes from controlling how you respond. Because the people who command the most respect are rarely the loudest. They're rarely the most aggressive. They're the people who know their worth without constantly needing others to confirm it. And once you truly understand that, everything changes. Today we've uncovered 5 powerful psychological ways to handle people who don't respect you. Stop chasing respect. Understand boundary testing. Don't reward disrespect with attention. Master emotional detachment. And be willing to walk away when necessary. Now I'm curious, which of these 5 lessons do you think is the hardest to apply in real life? And have you ever had someone start respecting you only after you stopped seeking their approval? Share your thoughts in the comments below. I'd love to hear your experiences. And if you enjoy exploring psychology, emotional intelligence, self-development, and the hidden forces behind human behavior, make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. We have many more fascinating psychology deep dives coming your way. Here's something worth thinking about. Respect is rarely won through force. It's often earned through consistency, the way you speak, the boundaries you set, the energy you tolerate, and the value you place on yourself. The people around you are constantly learning how to treat you from the example you set. So maybe the real question isn't, how do I make people respect me? Maybe it's, how am I teaching people to treat me? The answer might change more than you expect. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.